Good evening, everyone. This is Emma Grant here from Heartfelt Change in my usual Monday slot, 5 o'clock. It's lovely to be back. Today's topic, I'm going to be looking at assumptions, what assumptions we make about ourselves, about other people, and a bit of an exploration as to whether these assumptions serve us well, or are they based on things in the past, or thought processes, perceptions of things that really don't serve us well in our present day moment. And I'm also going to look at whether you can change those assumptions or how easy it is to do that. So as we're going through the topic, it'd be great if folk dropped any wee things they might have to say in the chat. And just to start off, to get the ball rolling, just to see who's out there, hello from people in the chat would be great. So just to introduce myself for anyone who's not watched me before, my name's Emma Grant. I run a business called Heartfelt Change, and I work in the west coast of Scotland in a wee town called Oban, a beautiful town. And my business is all to do with inspiring people to find a calmer path in their lives, to find more joy in their lives. And I do this, I work with people who suffer from anxiety, who live with anxiety, stresses, frustrations, feeling of overwhelmed. Many of my clients feel like they are overreactive in situations in their everyday. They feel like they have no control over sort of what is coming up inside them. And I, with a sort of a combination, a unique combination of focused relaxation work, of awareness work, I support people to come to terms with their life, to be steadier in their lives, to walk a calmer path, and people are inspired to find more joy. That's what I do. That's what I love doing. So, as I said, as you're joining in, just give us a wee hello. Let me know who you are, where you're from, and whether anything that I'm talking about is particularly resonating with you, or if you have any questions. It would be lovely to hear from you in the chat. And that goes for anyone watching on replay as well. You can just do hashtag replay, and I'll respond to every comment. So, okay, so today's topic, assumptions. Are you making them about yourself and others? Do they serve you well, these assumptions? And how easy is it, or can you choose to not make those assumptions anymore? So I was going to tell a wee story to start off with. When I moved from, oh, it's Davy. Hello, Davy. Thanks for saying hello, and thanks for stopping in to watch. So the story I was going to tell was that when I moved to the mainland with my 4 kids, I'd split up with my husband, and we were in a tricky housing situation, put it that way, and we'd just been kicked out of one house, and I was trying to find somewhere else to live, and housing is with 4 kids, housing is quite difficult to find, with that number, needing that number of bedrooms. So anyway, so I was trying to find somewhere to live, and I kind of I hid my son at that time was, how old would he have been? He would have been about 14. Aidan would have been about 14, and I kind of hid all my fears from him, and I didn't sort of engage him in what was happening at all. And it wasn't till months later, when I'd actually found us somewhere to live already, that I said to him, well, actually, it wasn't that we were choosing to move. We were actually being evicted by the landlord. That's another story why that was happening. But we were being evicted by the landlord. So actually, I was under a lot of pressure to get out as soon as I could. So now, Aidan asked me, well, why didn't you tell us that, Mum? Why didn't you tell us that? Because, if I'd known that, I would have helped more. I would have helped you look for places. I would have, whatever. I thought you were just choosing to move at a really bad time. And I said, well, I didn't tell you because I thought you would be really scared in that moment. And his response was, but why? Why would I be scared? Why would I be worried? I have absolute trust and faith that you would find us somewhere and you would fix it for us. So the assumption I was making was that Aidan would be responding in the same way that responded as a kid. Because when I was growing up, we moved all the time and it was always really chaotic. Like we'd come home from school and mum would announce that that was it. We were moving on to somewhere else. We'd come into a holiday. I'd say cheery to my pals at the end of the school term, and that'd be it. I'd end up never seeing them again because she decided we were moving, and she was manic depressive, so lots of reasons for that. But my assumption was that Aidan was having the same experience that I was having, and therefore I wanted to protect him from all that feeling of fear that would be generated around having to move house. And from his point of view, he's got a mum who is very with him, very present, and he absolutely trusted that I was going to do the best by him and his siblings, and we were going to be fine. So in that instance, me making that assumption about how he would feel, making the assumption that he was going to feel the same way based on my own experience, actually built up my own stress. It meant that I wasn't able to be honest with the kids as to what was actually going on. So they weren't sort of appreciating the time pressure I was under. They thought this was a choice that I'd made. So if what I'm saying is that resonating, or you feel like you've been in a similar situation, then drop a wee comment in the chat if you'd like. So moving on from that, it's like where else do we make assumptions? Have you ever thought to yourself, I can't apply for that job, or I can't try on that dress or that suit or that shirt? And what assumptions are we making? What assumptions are we making? What's behind that? And with those two, the obvious assumption is that you're not good enough. You're not good enough for the job, or that if you've got body issues, it's like I love to go shopping with my oldest daughter, because she just sees me as the shape I am with no kind of judgment on it, and she just looks at clothes and go, oh, you look really good in this, mum. Whereas I'm making all these assumptions about, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, and I don't feel, and it all comes down to I'm not fully confident in my body to try on that dress, whereas Ishbel's just like, oh, try it on, you look great. So I love going shopping with her now because she just blasts any of my assumptions off to the side. Looking at our own sort of personal development, our own journeys in life, there's an assumption I think that we can make where, and certainly I did before I found my own sort of teacher and guide, I was making a big assumption that there was traumatic events that happened in my past, that I thought if I uncovered them, if I looked at them, I was going to fall apart, I was going to break, it was going to be too much. And that's a really hard assumption to make. It's an assumption which can really have a long-lasting effect for your entire life. And one of the things that my teacher and guide would always remind me of is that I had survived these things already. I had already worked through them. I'd worked through well, not worked through them in terms of sort of dealing with them, but I had survived them. I'd lived through these things. And what I was holding in my head was an assumption that letting these things come to the surface was somehow going to be more painful than the living through of them. And I think that when we invest a lot of energy into our fears, where we're assuming that the worst thing is going to happen, we actually end up building the fears, and we build this sort of sense of dread that we have in our lives, in a way that we're investing so much energy in that as soon as we actually start to to challenge that assumption that things are going to be too much, and we start just giving a little bit of air, a little bit of space to things, these fears and worries can actually become much smaller than we're assuming that they're going to be. That's Jinjutha saying hello. Nice to see you again. I always say see. It's like see you in the chat. She's a regular listener. So thank you for coming in again. So I don't know if you guys got an example of when you've made an assumption that in hindsight you can think that it's maybe not serving you well, or can you think of a moment now in your everyday? Maybe you're feeling lost. Maybe you're assuming that there's no future for you. Maybe you're assuming that you're in a state of sadness, a state of depression, and there's going to be no way out of it. Maybe you're assuming that everyone around you is having a wonderful life, and you're the only one that is sort of struggling with things. And I think for me the reason that it's good to sort of just try and be aware of your assumptions is that it actually allows you to see other people more clearly, and it allows you to see yourself. So we kind of looked at, are you making assumptions? And I'm going to assume that everyone makes assumptions. That's probably the one true assumption you could make. There's many assumptions we make, I think, that don't serve us. I know that's certainly true for me. And the third question I'd asked was, how easy is it to choose to not make those assumptions? And I think that's a really, really tricky one. And I think, although it sounds really easy, just choose to not believe that anymore, just choose to think differently. I think without guidance, without having someone sort of supporting you on that journey of taming your scary lions and making them into the sort of the domestic cats that they possibly are. I think without having a teacher and a guide in that, that can be a scary journey. So my answer would be to that question that yes, you can choose, but first of all, you need to bring in a lot of awareness into what your assumptions are in your everyday. And as you do that, you sort of become more present in your moment, and you can actually, you'll be able to meet people with a greater honesty in the moment, and you'll be able to meet yourself with a greater honesty in that moment as well. So I suppose it's all about awareness for me, and it's about awareness of what assumptions you're making, and it's interesting to me whether those assumptions hinder you or help you, whether they serve you well or not. So if anyone's got any comments on live or replay, if you're watching replay, just do the hashtag replay and put a wee comment, put something in the chat, and I'll respond to it. So if this exploration is of interest to you, if this is the kind of topic that you're interested in and you think you would like to explore this further, I've got other Facebook posts that you'll find on my Facebook page under live, or what I would do is I would invite you to join me on a course that I am starting up in May. It's a course on walking towards calm and joy, and it's a course on stress management and personal development, and we would be exploring these kind of topics, but not in a sort of intellectual way, in a sort of really experiential way of really sitting with what assumptions you're making and really starting to bring an awareness to how you are actually operating in your day-to-day. And in my experience, this can bring you to a greater calmness in your life, which can bring joy in your life, but it also brings you to a sort of a more realistic assessment of where you are, brings you to a coming to terms with your life. Um, so if that is of any interest to you, then drop me a wee message, and I can send you across details of the course. So yes, so when you drop me a message, I'll send you some details. Um, that's that's it for now. Unless anyone is wanting to drop any wee questions in the chat, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and yeah, do get in touch if that course is of interest, or that that's also how I work one-to-one with people as well. Just sort of a lot of exploring where you're at, so checking your reality and seeing whether your perception is serving you well or not. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and if you'd like to, you can find all my contact details on my website or on the Facebook page. Website is www.heartfeltchange.co.uk. Okay, thank you for being here, and I shall see you all next Monday. Bye for now.